Yeah, Venice, I'm audible to you.
Yes, I audible. So am I
Okay.
audible?
Yes, yes, no problem. Huh? It's good for it. Okay.
Hi, Sudeep.
Hi, Scott. Hi, Scott.
Hi.
Hello. Good afternoon.
Speakers.
Scott, we're just waiting for some more participants to join in. So maybe we should start in some more minutes.
Okay.
All the panelists had joined, I think, no?
Hi, I'm
Yeah.
here.
Yes, yes.
Hi Scott, a very good afternoon. Hello Suraj.
Yes, yes. Very good afternoon. Very good afternoon.
Good to see you.
Hi Suraj. Hi
Hi.
Sudeep. Hi
Hi.
Scott.
Hi there.
Yes, yes. Yeah, welcome. Yeah.
Hi
How are
Divya.
you?
Good afternoon to you too.
Hi Abhay. Good afternoon.
Does the Bose speaker not work with the computer?
It does.
It does? Okay. For hearing, yes, but not for the visual.
I'm Marathi, sir. I guess we can start on time.
Yes,
We have 1 more minute. By the time we are done with the
Yes.
welcome note and introduction, the rest of the people can join in. But let's be on time.
Yes, yes. Sub 3 o'clock we start.
Yes. So I will quickly share the PowerPoint presentation. Okay.
Yes, Sudeep, can we start? Sub 3 o'clock.
Yes, sir.
Huh? So with the permission of all panelists, I'd like to start today's panel discussion. Okay, so very good afternoon. Yes, yes. So very good afternoon to all our panel members, faculty members, students, and all present here. Myself, Suraj Marathe from Mechanical Department, Don Bosco College of Engineering. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome all dignitaries and participants on behalf of Institution Innovation Council, Don Bosco College of Engineering, and Goa Innovation Council. On the panel discussion, innovation and startup ecosystem enabler from the region, state, and national level. With our moderator, Sudeep Faldesai, and a panelist, Mr. Scott Knox, Divya Karkar, and Abhay Valsankar. Before start our panel discussion with our panelists, I take this opportunity to introduce the Institution Innovation Council of Don Bosco College of Engineering. Okay. As we know, Institution Innovation Council, that is IIC, an initiative of Ministry of Human Resource Development, Government of India, has established to systematically fostering the culture of innovation amongst all higher education institutes. Institution Innovation Council of Don Bosco College of Engineering has 5 major focus. Okay. Yeah. Next slide, Sudeep, please.
Yes.
Yeah. So this is the 5 major focus which mostly our IIC DBCE is focusing in line with IIC what MHRD guidelines. Okay. That is for to create an energetic innovation ecosystem, then to develop a mechanism to support the startup, to prepare the IIC achievements in the form of framework, to establish the function ecosystem from the ideas, and last one is to develop better cognitive ability among the students. Okay. There are also major function of our IIC DBC. These are the functions to conduct the various innovative entrepreneurship related activities, to identify and reward the innovations, to share the successful stories, to organize the periodic workshops, seminars like this panel discussions. Okay. Then to network with peers and national entrepreneurship development organizations, then to create an institute innovation portal to highlight the innovative projects. It might be our student side, or it might be from any startups fraternity. Okay, and then to also it participate to organize the hackathons, idea competitions. Okay, and so on, all with the help of industries. That is what our major functions we involve. Okay. Yeah. Next slide, Sudhir. Now, today's panel discussion that is on the innovation and startup ecosystem enabler. We have a moderator, Mr. Sudeep Faldesai. Okay, so I'd like to invite our student coordinator of this panel discussion, Benicia Colasso, to kindly introduce our moderator. Yeah, Benicia.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. A very good afternoon to one and all present here in this virtual meeting. Today, I take this privilege of introducing the moderator of the panel discussion, Mr. Sudeep Faldesai. Having close to a decade's experience in entrepreneurship and innovation space, Mr. Sudeep has garnered deep insights into managing various aspects of the startup ecosystem. Over the years, he has launched a couple of startups and mentored a few in taking their ideas to the market. For the past 3 years, he has been handling the office of the Goa State Innovation Council, which is an initiative by the government of Goa focused on fostering innovation and entrepreneurship at grassroots levels in the state. His role that at GSInC is to drive various programs and projects to encourage students, teachers, and inventors to evaluate, nurture, and scale up their ideas. The Council has rolled out multiple innovation discovery initiatives, such as technology-based school or college competitions. As an active member of leading institutions, organizations, and committees, he contributes towards building a robust startup infrastructure in the state. I now ask Mr. Sudeep Faldesai to please take over and proceed with the panel discussion.
Thank you so much, Benefica, for the lovely introduction. And thank you so much for the Don Bosco College, the principal, the director, and also Professor Suraj for having this session, giving us the opportunity to reach out to a lot of students. I'm Sudeep Faldesai, project officer from the Goa State Innovation Council. And a very warm welcome to all our dear participants and our panelists for today's session. Participants, please note that today's session is not going to be a typical classroom training session. It is going to be a more of an interactive session. Yes, we have powerful speakers with us today who are not only going to share their knowledge, but also share their life stories with you, which will not only motivate you, but which will also help you in your life as you progress with your career. Okay, so let's do a quick survey. If you are really looking forward to attend this session and you are interested in learning something new, something innovative, and to be motivated, please type YES in the chat so that we all know how interactive and how quick you are in responding. You can open your chat and you can type YES. Sorry, Abhay, I took this from you.
Absolutely great.
Thank you for confirming. Yeah. Okay. Okay. I can see a lot of yes coming in the group. That means yes, the crowd is alive and they are not sleeping. Thank you for that. Okay. Quick. Before we proceed with the session, I would like to specify a few points about the startup and the innovation ecosystem, because everybody talks about it, but nobody knows the real definition or the actual people or the players involved in it. So a typical startup ecosystem is formed by the people, startups in various stages and various types of organization in a location. That location might be in a physical form or it can be in a virtual form. Also, they'll be interacting as a system to create new startups. So that's how a startup ecosystem works with all the infrastructure. And this specific organization can be further divided into various categories. And those categories are universities, funding organizations. Then you have the support organization like incubators, accelerators, co-working spaces. Okay. And then you also have research organizations in the ecosystem. with the service providers of financial services and the legal services that are available to you. So also, if you notice, then having a large industry also plays a major role in a good startup ecosystem. Different organizations would typically focus on specific parts of the ecosystem function, and startups at a specific development stage. So now you talk about the ideation stage. So you have your college faculties, college mentors who are going to help you ideate, come up with solutions to solve your problems. But then when you build a prototype, so that's when you need the innovation council to help you build a prototype. And then once the prototype is ready, you can talk to any of the business incubators. Like for example, you have Fire, you have SIBA, you have Ignite, you have 91 Springboard, which are based out of Goa. You can go and approach them and can talk about the business aspects of it. Okay. And then talking about the innovation ecosystem, the innovation ecosystem includes universities, government, corporations, startups, accelerators, venture capitalists, private investors, foundations, entrepreneurs. I'm sorry, it's basic organizations. Sorry for that. Entrepreneurs, mentors, and the media. Okay, each player will play a significant role in creating value in the larger ecosystem by transforming their ideas into scalable business models. Okay. So typically, our innovation ecosystem will create an active flow of information and resources for ideas to transform into scalable products. Though these ecosystems, we are building a process by which more innovators and entrepreneurs can develop and launch solutions to solve real-life problems. Okay, this process creates expertise in areas, helps to diversify the economy, and allows business to meet their customers where they are. Additionally, the innovation ecosystem will also provide the most crucial part is creation of jobs and opportunity for people who are looking for internship or looking for freshers or looking for a job. Okay. So now I'll give a quick introduction to the Innovation Council. So these are the list of the activities that are undertaken by the Goa State Innovation Council. I'm not going to talk more about them. I'm just going to keep the slide over here for some more seconds so that you can go through them. Okay, these are the list of initiatives that are undertaken by Goa State Innovation Council. Okay. The Goa State Innovation Council, which is established with a mandate to promote innovation and startup ecosystem in the state of Goa. Okay, we have the virtual innovation register through which we support young and aspiring young entrepreneurs and innovators to register their idea and to pursue it with all the necessary support that is required. If you look at this slide, so we have the crucial highlights of the Innovation Council, where we support you in filing provisional patents. That is, a grant of 10,000 rupees is given to you as filing for provisional patent. We have empaneled the patent attorney and agents where you can choose from them. Also, we support you in giving by providing you a grant for building a prototype. So here what we do, the cost of building a prototype, that is the hardware component, okay, up to 20,000 rupees is covered under this scheme. It's a very simple scheme. We have kept it as simple as possible so that a lot of people can come and benefit out of this scheme. Okay, as a college student, you would have come across the prototyping lab, which is established in the Don Bosco College of Engineering. So that is also one of the initiatives of the Goa State Innovation Council, where we try and support with the innovation ecosystem for the student community in the state of Goa. Okay, these are some of the pictures of all our programs that we have done. Okay. Okay, so now that was the introduction. We'll quickly move on to our first speaker of the day. Okay, on behalf of the council, the college, and our participants, let us welcome our panelists. So it is my honor to introduce the speaker of today's discussion. So we have our first speaker, she is Divya Kakkar. She is business mindset coach. I'll give a quick introduction to her because she had specifically told me not to spend more time on her introduction and she would want to quickly start with the session. Okay, Divya is a mindset coach helping entrepreneurs grow their business and reach their income goals by overcoming growth and money blocks. She is certified NLP and EFT practitioner, an ICF coach, and an advanced diploma holder in NLP coaching. We welcome you, Divya. Over to you.
Thanks a lot, Sudip. Thanks for this lovely introduction, and thanks everybody else who has joined in and made this possible. So I am super excited for this session. Let me know in the chat box if you all are excited too. Type excited in the chat box. I want to see some names. I want to see some energy moving around here. Tell me, type in the chat box. I want to see you people moving. Are you all sleepy? Oh, I see Prithvi, Akash, Elson, and who else? Binay. Awesome. Mahesh. Excited, excited, excited. Super awesome. So I am literally wanting to give some value here, and I want you to be open to receiving this value, right? So Sudip, can we please move on to the slide?
Divya, I think I have not received the PPT. Can you put it from your
I
end?
can. Sure,
Yeah.
sure. That'll be fine. I don't have the screen sharing option. Would you be able to do that?
Yes.
Very excited. Awesome. So we have wonderful people here who are really excited for this session. And this is the energy that we really need to learn anything in life. So just one moment, I will share my PPT. I don't really think that it would be necessary, but still you should have something on the screen to just look up to. All right. So how many of you think that innovation is really important when it comes to business? Give me a yes in the chat box if you do think that. Give me a yes. How many of you do think that innovation is the key to growing your business? Awesome. Bala Sahib says yes. All right. So today, would you be interested if I teach you how can you convert your passion and innovation into profit? Would you be interested to learn that? Give me interested in the chat box. So I'm asking you to do all of this so we keep the energies high. All right. So I do have the screen sharing option now. Do I? I really don't think so, but it's fine. Before we move on to identifying your passion and converting that into profit, let me tell you, why do most businesses fail? Would you be interested to learn that? Now, there is, it's kind of an iceberg situation. The iceberg, most of the part is under the ice, under the water. Do you all know about the iceberg? We have a little portion that we see above the water, and rest of it is major portion of the iceberg is under the water. And that is similar with the business situation also. What you see on the top is just very small proportion, what you call investment strategy. I'm completely not against it, but the major portion is the mindset of an entrepreneur. When it comes to success, after having done more than 100 sessions with entrepreneurs, I've come to know that there is a specific thing that makes or breaks a business. Why do most businesses fail is not because of lack of investment or strategy or anything else. It is because of lack of right mindset. There may be entrepreneurs who are procrastinating. They know the strategy, but they're not ready to put in work because they have fear of failure. They do not really believe in themselves. There are a lot of limiting blocks. They may be thinking that, business is not my cup of tea. There might be subconscious messages stored in their mind which say that you will not be able to do it. It's not, you are not worth it, something like that. So do you all agree that it is all of these negative messages stored in your mind that stop you from growth? Give me a yes in the chat box if you trust that mindset is one of the most key aspects when it comes to growth. Give me a yes in the chat box. Awesome. Perfect. All right. So now today, I want to tell you the importance of business mindset when it comes to growth. And I want to show you how you can get that mindset. How can you go deep into your foundation and identify your passion as well? So I'm going to tell you about a concept, which is a Japanese concept called Ikigai. Before I tell you more details about it, can you all go grab a pen and a paper right now? I'm going to give you 30 seconds. Grab a pen and a paper, and we are going to do a fun activity. You'll be able to identify your passion right now, right here in the next 5 minutes. Would that be awesome? Type awesome in the chat box and go grab a pen and a paper. I hope that you all have that right now. Just divide the paper into 4 quadrants. Draw a vertical line in between and a horizontal line. In the first quadrant, I'm going to ask you a few questions and give the answers to me in the chat box for all of these questions, right? So in the first quadrant, right answer to this question, what is it that you love to do? What is it that you love to do? If there were no constraints, what would you wish to do with your life? If there is a perfect universe, there is a perfect world, no restrictions, what is it that you would love to do? I'm not asking the practical aspects. Give me in the chat box, what is it that you love to do? Anybody? And I want answers from all of you, because if you want to identify your passion and you want to convert that into profit, you really have to do this activity. Give me in the chat box, what is it? Teaching and farming, awesome. What else? Give me more. What is it that comes to your mind? And we are going to identify your ikigai. To travel the world by sea route, awesome. These are some amazing things coming up, all right? What is it that you're absolutely, maybe anybody, if you have all the time in the world, what is it that you would love to do? Trekking, Goshala, perfect, perfect, perfect. Now, in the second quadrant, write down things that you are good at doing. Okay, the second quadrant, write down what is it that you're absolutely good at doing. What have you been praised for many times? What have you been praised for? What comes naturally to you? Maybe think of your friends. What do they praise about you? Give me in the chat box, what is it that you're absolutely good at doing? Or maybe you would love to learn one particular skill. It could be something that you're already good at doing, or something that you would want to learn later on in your life. Give me in the chat box, what is it that you are good at doing? I want to see some things coming. I'm not going to move forward if you don't give me anything, because I really want you to identify your passion. Coolness, awesome. Okay, it could be anything. Just don't think a lot. Code, awesome, perfect. What else? Write down 5 to 7 things that come to your mind in this specific quadrant. Moving on to the third quadrant. In this specific quadrant, you have to write, what can you be paid for doing? What can you get money for? Something that it could be teaching, it could be writing code, it could be building a website, social media marketing, digital marketing, creating a product or a project, or maybe helping people with assignments. Anything that you can be paid for doing. You have to write all of the things that come to your mind. See, we are doing it really fast because time is limited right now, but you take some time even after this session. Do it for yourself, and this is going to give you so much clarity, and I can promise you that, right? So yoga, perfect, awesome. What else can you be paid for doing? Excuse me for that. Discipline, speaking, awesome, perfect. Venisha says speaking, innovating something which is non-harmful for an environment, perfect, awesome, right? And in the next quadrant, write down, what does the world need? It doesn't have to be the entire world, but your immediate surroundings, people who you know, your community. What do you think you can do and the world needs that too? Write down everything that comes to your mind that world needs. It could be more coaches, it could be an engineer, it could be any specific thing that the world needs. Strategy, musician, Vedic knowledge, perfect, awesome. So you have to write all of these in these 4 quadrants. Now comes the fun part. Do you want to see something awesome? Write fun in the chat box. Health, mental stability, perfect. Write down fun, F-U-N, awesome, awesome, awesome. All right, now find out what is common in all of these 4 quadrants. Whatever is common in all of these 4 quadrants is your ikigai. So anybody who said that I love to teach, I am good at teaching, I can be paid for teaching, and the world needs more tutors. That's your ikigai. That's your purpose of life. Ikigai translates to purpose of life. Have you all found your ikigai? Those who have typed ikigai or purpose of life, POL, type in the chat box POL if you have found. Now we're going to talk about perfect. Abhi says POL, Bradley says ikigai. POL, awesome. We have a lot of people who have just found their passion or their purpose of life. Now, the important aspect is for you to convert this ikigai into profit. That's when innovation comes in picture. And I am going to tell you one simple secret here. This is not something big, but when you find your ikigai and you leverage on that, innovation comes naturally to you. Okay, you just tap into your internal power and you will find so many creative ideas to bring what is true to you, okay, your natural talents. You will find that there are so many ideas that you have now that you'll be able to take it to the outside world, right? So innovation from inside, type IFI in the chat box if you truly believe that you will make this something. Maybe you enter into a job which really leverages on your ikigai, or maybe you create a project of your own, entrepreneurship, business, anything you can create, but the foundation is the purpose of your life, the ikigai that you have just found, right? So I hope that it was useful to you, and now I would just hand this over to Sudev. Over to you, Sudev.
Thank you so much, Priya, for the wonderful session. Before we ask the questions to our panelists, we will finish all the sessions of all the 3 panelists, and then we'll go back and we can ask the questions. Okay. So also take privilege in introducing our second speaker for the day is Mr. Abhay Valsangar, founder of Alter Ego Learning. Mr. Abhay Valsangar is an author and founder of Alter Ego Learning, a learning and a development organization which works in the skill development sector and offers youth leadership programs and skill development initiatives for the unemployed youth of the country. Hi, Abhay. We welcome you for today's session.
Hey, hello. So hi, and I welcome all of you for this wonderful talk, which has been organized by none other than the Goa State Innovation Council, the Institutions Innovation Council, the Don Bosco College of Engineering, and of course, a very good friend of mine, Mr. Sudeep, Suraj, and all those dignitaries present here. Wow, to get those names together in itself is like a task, right? So thank you so much for making this possible. And I just need to check, Sudeep, will you be sharing the slide or can I do it
Yes.
at the end?
Yes, I'll share the slide.
Yeah, please go ahead. Then you can do that. And
Yeah.
while you do that, can everybody unmute and let's give a round of applause for all the organizers here. Go ahead, unmute and give a round of applause for them. Because of them that we are all here, right? So absolutely great. Thank you. You all are doing very good. You can now all go back to being on mute and let's see some energy in this room, as what Divya said very rightly, right? See, everything boils down to one thing, and that one thing is energy. So all the members who are of the panel here, including Divya and Scott, can we unmute and say yes? Let's show the energy that the panelists have.
Definitely yes.
Oh, yes.
Absolutely great. Wonderful. Thank you. You can go back being on mute. That's great. Now let's have all the faculty members, the staff, the non-teaching staff, everyone who's a staff here. Can you all unmute and say yes? Let's see the energy of the staff here on this call. Go ahead.
Yes, yes.
Absolutely great. Wonderful. Thank you so much. And now comes the third and my favorite segment, the students who are attending this right now. Can all the students unmute and say yes? Let me see some energy from your side.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Wonderful. I love and appreciate everyone who has just said yes right now. So my name is Abhay Valsankar and I will share with you what I have learned from my life are the 3 key ingredients of success. What are the 3 things that you can do, what I did, which will definitely help you reach where you want to? How many of you would be learning and willing to learn that? If yes, please type BIO in the chat box, which means bring it on. You know, it's like a challenge that you're giving to me that we are ready, Abhay, bring it on. Let's see what you can do for us. So let's go ahead and let me see that. Wow, great. I'm amazed. I can see like 50, 60 BIOs right now, which are coming in. That shows the energy which is reflecting in the chat box, which is absolutely great. So let's go ahead with the very first ingredient, which my friend, Divya right now mentioned. So can I request Sudeep, if you can go to the next slide, please. The very first ingredient for us to achieve success is none other than the mindset. So I want all of you to just go ahead and do this with me. Can all of you raise both your hands up like this, both your fingers up like this? I know I can't see some of you, so you can have your webcam on. But the ones that I can see, can I request you to have both your fingers up like this? Let's do it together. I can see you on my screen. Great. Now point it like this towards your mind. Absolutely great. You're looking very funny. At the same time, you're learning something. So this is number 1, which is nothing but mindset. Thank you. You can keep your hands down. So today I'm going to help you understand that what is that right mindset which you can have, which is the first ingredient towards becoming successful. So Sudeep, can we go towards the next slide, please? So let me give you what example from what happened in my life. typically life happens and you do your engineering and your college life and your education and this and that. And then you sit at one place and wonder, what am I doing in my life? How many of you at some point in your life, you ask this question to yourself, what am I doing in my life? What's happening? Where is my life headed? If you have asked this question to yourself, type that's me in the chat box. Type me in the chat box. Let's see if there's anybody like me who has asked this question, that what am I doing in my life? Great. I can see Rajat, I can see Benicia, I can see Sahil, tons of people typing me, right? So I did all the conventional things which an Indian parent would be proud of. I did my schooling, high schooling, my polytechnic, I did my engineering, I did my MBA. So it's like a perfect kind of a thing which your parents are proud of, right? But none of that educational things helped me achieve success in my life. They gave me a right platform, but I couldn't maximize it. Then one fine day, someone said and came to me and said, you know what? You're doing tons of things, but nothing is working for you because you don't have the right mindset. So I was like, okay, what mindset? He says, number one, you should have a growth mindset. So everybody write this down in your book and please type it in the chat box as well. Growth mindset, GROWTH, growth mindset. And then I asked that person, what is the growth mindset? They say, whenever you see something, you start with the end in mind. Look at yourself as you have achieved the goal and then start with that energy and then believe that you have enough abundance to achieve what you want. And all of that went like a bouncer, right? It's like, what's happening? And then I asked them, what can I do? He says, what are you passionate about? And I said, I'm really passionate about speaking and training. He says, okay, let's do one thing. Now don't run behind anything. Just set up one target, one goal. So this is what I did. I went to a website which was all about training and development. It was government's website. And I saw a picture there when I put in www.istd.co.in, the training website. I saw a picture of a railway minister of India who was Suresh Prabhu at that time. And it was giving an award to someone for being the best trainer in the country. And I was like, this is it. This is what I want. I set my goal. I set my end vision. This is what I want. I took a screenshot of that picture. I removed the face of that person. I put my face on top of it. And I set it as a desktop background for the next 2 years. And every day when I opened my laptop, I used to see that picture. This is what I want. My end goal was fixed. My mindset was fixed. I want to achieve this no matter what. And then came the growth mindset, that how can I achieve it? Every single day, one step towards achieving it. And after 2 years, I get a call from Delhi that out of the lakh trainers in the country, we have secured all India rank 1. How many of you would love if you could do something like that, which would make your parents proud? If yes, type yes in the chat box. Let me see how many of you would love to do that. So when I got to know that, yes, I have secured this rank, I inquired, what do I do next? They said, come to Delhi because now you're going to receive an award. So I was like, okay, now life is like, taking a full circle. I wanted this goal. I set it with the right mindset. And then I went ahead in achieving it. So when I went there, to my surprise, I thought it might be Suresh Prabhu or a railway minister. But to my surprise, as Sudeep now goes towards the next slide, the person giving the award was none other than the 13th president of India. How many of you would love if you would receive a president award? And how many of you would recognize Dr. Pranab Mukherjee here, who's the late 13th president of India? How many of you would love if that happens to you in your life? If yes, please type yes in the chat box. Let me see some energy in the chat box because you would love to do the same. Now, if you observe this picture very carefully, where am I looking? I'm not looking into the camera, right? Because I'm looking at my mother who has a 3 megapixel camera in her hand. And she had warned me that you're going to supposed to look at me only. You're not going to look into the DSLR cameras. You're going to look towards my camera. And so they are all DSLR high profile cameras, but I'm looking at her. How many of you would love if you could make your parents proud like that? If yes, please type me in the chat box if you would love to do that. So can we go towards the next part? And this is where the number one thing, your mindset, comes into the picture. Now let's go towards the second thing out of the 3 things that we learned today, the skill set. Now, what do I mean when I say skill set? Everybody have both your hands up like this and just rotate around like this. These are your skills. Let's do it together, okay? I can see some of you, but I'm going to trust that you do this with me. So everybody raise both your hands up like this and do this with me. Absolutely great. Thank you. I love all of your participation, including Sudeep, Scott, Suraj, everyone. Thank you. So this is the second one, which is your skill set. If you want to achieve anything in life, you must develop skills for it. As simple as that. Nobody is born perfect, right? You develop skills for that. Let me give you my example. Since most of you are a student audience, I give you my student life examples that how I developed skills during my college days, which would help me to eventually become successful. How many of you would love to learn that? If yes, please type I do in the chat box if you would love to learn from it. So let's go ahead, Sudeep. Let's go towards the next slide. Let me give you an example. How many of you have like a student council in your college wherein, there's like a president, a general secretary, and cultural festivals, technical sports, etc. If you have a festival, type F in the chat box, which means like a festival. Let me see if you have that. Great, superb. Thank you, Benicia, and thank you all those who are typing in. This was my very first event. And if you're trying to look and find where I am, I'm not in that picture because I'm there from where the picture is taken, because my role was to handle security on the first floor of the event so that nobody comes near the railing, right? So my job was to be a security guard on my first event. They asked me, have you ever done security before? I said no. They asked me, will you do it? I said yes. They asked me, how will you do it? I just said one word, learn. I learn it. That's it. Let's go to the second instant. Let's go towards the second, next slide, please. Then I got an opportunity. Will you host an event in front of everyone? Now, let's be honest. How many of you are afraid to talk in front of people? Just raise your hand up, or you can also type me in the chat box if you are a little afraid. To everyone's notice, if you observe, then public speaking is the #1 fear in the world. And that's why I was very fearful. What do I do? They asked me, will you host an event? I said yes. They asked me, have you done it before? I said no. They asked me, how will you do it? One word, I will learn. Learn. That's it. Done. Then came the next opportunity. Can you go towards the next slide, Sudhi? Thank you, and you're doing great, by the way. Next came an opportunity. Have you ever sold something in your life? I was like, no. They were like, will you sell something? I was like, yes. How will you do it? I will learn. That's it. That's me sitting there in a white, oversized kurta with, selling dandiya sticks for an event that we had. And that was a time when I got an opportunity to learn how actually sales happen in life. Again, did I know sales? No. What did I know? That I can learn and I can implement that. Then came the next opportunity. Can we go towards the next part, please? They asked me, will you do drama? Will you do dancing? Will you do acting? Will you do any of these things? I said yes. Did I knew how to do this? No. Then what did I do? I learned. That's the only thing I did. I learned those skills, and that helped me to crack all the problems that we had. Then came in the next opportunity. Can we go to the next slide, please? They asked me, can you play the drum? Never in my life have I touched any musical instrument. I said yes. They said, do you know how to play a drum? I said no. How will you do it? I will learn. And then if you see, that's me at 50 kilos. That drum is 20 kilos. Somehow I'm managing and banging it and playing, but I got an opportunity. And this is what I want all of you to realize as we go towards the next slide, please. Go ahead. That no matter what, be it any time, I got an opportunity to handle and understand what's logistics. Logistics is nothing but, procurement, getting the things and supplying it to other people. And this was me sitting at 10 o'clock at a place, waiting for a bus to arrive because I've got so much with me that I have to take it back to college. Did I know logistics? No. Did I want to do it? Yes. How did I do it? I learned. That's it. That's the simple way. Let's go towards the next slide. And that is where I want you to realize, then came the big stage. Then came a stage wherein I was all polished and I got a chance to speak in front of 3,000 people. Now, when I say if you get a chance to speak in front of 3,000 people, most of you will think it as a problem, right? Oh my God, how will I ever speak in front of 3,000 people? And you will get cold feet. But I took it as an opportunity. And those are your skills to look at a problem like an opportunity. And trust me, it becomes a lot easier. Let's go towards the next point. And this is the whole point which I want you to understand. From being a security guard in the first event, then going on and becoming the president, the chairman, the general secretary of the council, all it took was to develop the skills. And that's only possible if you follow what's there on the next slide. So please go ahead, Sudeep, and take a picture for this if you want to, and understand no job in this world is too big or too small. You have to do it all. That's it. You need to learn the skills and you need to do it as simple as that. How many of you agree that you can do skills, you can learn skills and achieve your dreams? If you do, please type skills in the chat box. Skills, SKILLS. And the last couple of minutes before we wind up, let's go to the third ingredient for success, which is your tool set. Number one was mindset. Number 2 was skill set. Number 3, let's do it together. Imagine you're holding a hammer in your hand and there's a nail and you're hitting the nail with the hammer, right? These are tools. So I'm going to now give you the tool set, the third thing which is important for you to achieve success. And let me give you a little story to help you understand. Let's go on the next slide. When I was made the general secretary of the student council, here I was giving all these speeches and stuff, right? And at that time, I had committed that I'll bring some celebrities and Bollywood stars and superstars to our college. Now, we had no money to do that. We had no setup to do that. But then we did best that we could for the last 1 year that we had. And then one day before the event, we get a call from Yash Raj Studios, which is one of the production houses in Mumbai. And they say that we have a team of Gunde, which was a movie back then in 2013 and 14, which had Priyanka Chopra. How many of you are familiar with the name Priyanka Chopra? Type PC in the chat box. It had Ranveer Singh. How many of you are aware about Ranveer Singh? Type RS in the chat box. And Arjun Kapoor. I hope Arjun Kapoor someday becomes at the level that what other two are. But these three people were the star cast of that movie, and they were supposed to come to our campus tomorrow. Imagine the kind of pressure that we are in. They'll come tomorrow. We don't have any money. We don't have the sound set up. They wanted minimum of 3,500 people on the ground. What tool set did I use to make it possible? I went to the sound vendor and I told them this one important thing, which is the biggest tool you will ever get. I sat in front of the person and first I was very small. I was like, sir, can you please give us stage, light and sound? We have some people coming in. They said, no, not possible. Give me 2 lakh rupees, then I'll do it. We did not have the money. Then I put out the card, the tool which I'm about to tell you, and I took a position of authority and I started speaking to them as if, you know what? If you're not going to reverse the production, I'll go to someone else. But by the way, there were 3 celebrities coming, including Priyanka Chopra, Ranveer Singh, and a media of around 50 people, including Times of India, Economic Times. Everybody was going to be there. And I was thinking I would put your banner on the background so that when they stand on stage, your company's name is visible everywhere. And that would typically cost around 10 lakhs, but here you can do it for free. Will you do it? And the sound and stage guy, without thinking, said, yes, let's do it. And then came the second challenge. Sudeep, can you go towards the next slide? The second challenge of getting 3,500 students at 12 o'clock in the afternoon on the ground. That was a big challenge, right? How do you get so many people on board? So I went to the principal's office and I knocked on the door and I asked principal ma'am that, ma'am, can we leave everybody so that they can come for this festival? And she said, no, that's not possible. We cannot go against academics. Again, I was being small. Then I took the tool and then I used the tool of persuasion, very, very important, of negotiation. And I sat in front of her and I told her, you know what, ma'am, when Priyanka Chopra, Ranveer Singh and all these celebrities would come on stage, I was thinking we wanted someone to give a memento, a bouquet to that person. And I was thinking if you could do it, that would be the best thing ever as a principal. And imagine all media people taking your pictures. You will be in all newspapers, you will be on Facebook, you will be everywhere in the media. Whole country would know about you. But now since you're saying no, what can I do? And now suddenly the principal was like, okay, let me think what I can do about this. And then next moment she gives the permission and we have 3,000 people there on the ground. Can we go towards the next part, please? And that is where these 3 celebrities would come in and we had Ranveer Singh, Priyanka Chopra, Arjun Kapoor, everybody coming in. And that's where I want you to realize the most important tool that you have in your life, which is here on the next slide as Sudeep goes towards that slide, communication. Please go to the next slide, Sudeep. Always and always remember this. You don't always get what you deserve. You think, I deserve this. I'm such a nice person. You are a nice person, that's good for you, but you don't always get what you deserve. You always get what you negotiate. So remember this, the biggest tool that you can have to achieving success is your communication, is your skills, which are nothing but negotiation. How many of you so far learned something and learned about mindset, skill set and tool set and thought it was useful? Please type MST in the chat box. Mindset, skill set, tool set, MST in the chat box if you all learned about it. Absolutely great. Thank you so much. And this was about me, what I wanted to share with you. And I'm sure you must have got value. Over to you, Sudeep, and you can just skip the slides and go towards the next part. Thank you so much once again. And if any questions, I'll definitely address it at the end. Okay. Over to you, Sudeep. Thank you everyone for typing MST in the chat box. That's great.
Thanks, Abhay. Great presentation.
Thank you so much, Scott.
Amazing presentation, Abhay. Wonderful. It was a very wonderful session. Okay. Please give me a minute so that I can put on the next slideshow. Okay, thank you, Abhay, once again for a wonderful session. We'll quickly move on to our third speaker for the day. We have Mr. Scott, who's an urban designer. Okay, I'll quickly give an introduction to our speaker. Scott is a senior architect and an urban designer. Scott has studied mechanical engineering at the University of Wisconsin-Madison and has a master's in architecture from Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute, RPI. He's worked with some of the world's largest AEC firms, including Skidmore, Owings, Merritt, designing international airports, and M+W Zander, a Stuttgart-based semiconductor firm, designing chip fabs for Intel and AMD. He is a lead designer of the most advanced R&D facility for Albany Nanotech and Global Foundries Fab 8 in New York. The past 5 years, Scott has been applying those large-scale experiences to a wide variety of entrepreneurial schools, national, state, and local venues across India. He was a mentor at last year's Waste Management Hackathon here at the Don Bosco College of Engineering, which was conducted by the Goa State Innovation Council. He looks forward to introducing two of the most effective tools used by startups today. Let's start defining your ideas and focus your core business. We welcome you, Scott, for the session. Over to you, Scott.
Thank you, Sudeep, and great presentation, both Abhay and Divya. It was great to get to know a little bit about you and be here with everyone that's on the line. I always say that Goa has its own vibe, and it's certainly clear here with all the responses from people coming up with showing their presence in this online medium that we're all sort of learning how to navigate. So what I'd like to do is a little bit different, because I know many people are in the position that I've been in many a times with trying to start up a new idea. And the question is, how do you know what you're doing if it's truly a new idea? So next slide. These two tools I'd like to share with you are sort of the yin and yang, or the two sides of the coin. One is called the business model canvas, and the second one is called the value proposition canvas. Both of them were developed by a information designer, and I'm blanking on his name, Osterwalder, and promoted by Steve Blank at Stanford University's School of Business. They are well-developed tools, and I'm going to quickly, as I can today here, show you how they work. So the next slide. So this first one is about how do you understand not only what you're doing, but who you're doing with and who you're doing it for, to spend what little money you may have to create a revenue stream. And that middle box called the value proposition is the holy grail. And I know a lot of people sort of start in with an idea. Engineers are particularly guilty of this, of saying, hey, I've got a great solution. And they go out looking for a problem that matches their solution. And the reality is you really have to understand people's problems first. And so the second thing I show you is going to come up in a bit, called the value proposition canvas, which is how you fill in this middle box. But let's start with the 9 boxes of the business model canvas first. You'll see on the left side is sort of like the back of house. So if you think of a theater and everything behind the stage, that's the activities. Who are the partners? What activities are you doing? What resources do you need to create that performance on stage? Everything on the right side of the business model canvas is like the front of the house. That's where your audience are. They are your customers. And you have to understand who they are. And they're not generic. You know, people say, well, everyone on earth, 7 point something billion people will know. They're not everyone. They are broken down into different groups. And if you understand their groups, you can then create relationships to different groups to support your value proposition. And you might use one channel to reach the old folks like myself and another channel to meet the young folks. And so there are different channels that develop those relationships between those customers. And so you have to understand that. So then you have at the bottom the cost structure, which means everything back of house costs money. And you have to come up with that money to fund those activities and resources. And hopefully these people, your customers, are going to generate the revenue streams. But what's in the center of all of this? In the center of all of this is this thing called a value proposition. How many people online here know what their value proposition of whatever idea that you're starting or you're thinking about an entrepreneur? Could you say in 2 sentences, in 5 words, exactly what your value proposition is? And that's really the goal. And I'll be honest with you, there are people all over the world in every stripe of business that basically can't tell you what their value proposition is. They inherited a business from their parents. They took a job that someone else had developed, and they don't always know exactly what, thank you, Jairus, don't know what their value proposition to their customers is. And so what this business model canvas does is gives you a way to do that. So you could advance it to the next slide. So I found that if I put a bunch of yellow Post-its on a board, it became a blur. And so what I'm showing here is the fact that you can put things on that canvas, but you can color code them based on your confidence of knowing it. And at the left side of it is, these things are certain. There's no doubt in your mind that this is a good idea. The second category is the Post-its that are yellow, and you're saying, well, I'm not dead certain on it, but I know it, and I know other people know it, so there's good confidence. The blue Post-it stickers are saying, well, it's known, but there's some degree of doubt. And the red ones are risk, because everything we do in life, getting out of bed, involves a risk. And you have to know that some things are riskier than others. So let's go to the next slide and see how these color-coded show up on the business model canvas. Next slide. Here's a project that I worked on called The Street. And it was a program to transform a spreadsheet of numbers into a financial landscape. And I created this business model canvas to help not only me, but my partners and investors all get an idea of what it is. So let's go through some of it. So the key partners included the programmers, some investors. I had some contacts in banking. A patent attorney, as Sudeep and others at the Goa State Innovation Council talked about. You have various partners that can help you develop things that will create the product that has this value proposition. And these people are going to do these activities. The programmers are going to do programming. The patent attorney is going to apply for the IP. And so there's a clear relationship between a lot of the partners, but you develop as many of these activities. And why are they yellow? They're yellow because they're a known group of people. If I had to do some sort of rocket science that hadn't been invented, like hearing gravity waves in the universe, it might not be yellow. It certainly wouldn't be green. It could be blue because there are some doubts in those things. So the last one on the left side is, what resources do my partners need to do these activities? Well, they need a program like Unity to be able to create landscapes from numbers. There needs to be people in the banking industry that provide some feedback on how this application is going to use those numbers. And I need social media marketing to help promote it. There are other post-its there as I was filling these in. So let's jump over from back of house to the front of house and look at some of the customers. We have customer segments that include individuals. There are people in small business that would use this application. There are students in college and universities. There are this group called the first adopters, and they're important to learn because almost anything that's genuinely new is going to have to get over the hurdle of what is this? And those first adopters are a rare breed of human beings who actually try things out that their parents didn't approve. There are accountants that would use this program, economists. And so I listed as many as I could think of, realizing some people would buy it and some people would rent it. And some of the people who would rent this application might be the major companies like Quicken and Tableau and Mint that already have a database for running numbers, but don't have the interface that my program introduced. So my relationship to each one of these customer segments might be different. But those relationships would be dependent on how good the after sales support was, whether or not there were retail outlets that people would see it and recognize that it's right next to the Quicken and the Tableau at the local business store, that I would reach people through advertising, and that they would have a different relationship because they might hear about my product on Hot FM or whatever. And that's the difference between one channel of advertising and another, is that they build different relationships. They have different audiences, my own website, etc. So channels include the app market, computer outlets, direct contact with college and universities, bank development websites, and others. So you can see again how the color helps break this down, so it's not just a blur of one monochromatic idea, but actually starts to break these down. Do we know whether or not this will be sold or licensed? We don't. And this is the nature, and Abhay and Divya both talked about the fact that there are a lot of things in life you don't really know, but the question is, how do you get beyond that? And you get it by, as Abhay say, acknowledge, I don't know this, and realize you can sort of step forward in that. I realized that my value proposition would be based on, could I really develop financial literacy on a really broad level? Because this program was designed to really improve people's understanding of money, because they didn't have to think it, they could see it. I was literally visualizing the concept of cash flow. And would it improve economics? You know, the idea is that if you lift the bottom, everything improves from that, but there's no evidence that it would. But I put down things that I thought were important about the program, that it would be scalable, repeatable, that there would be pathways to different economics, there would be familiarity of play. It was a gamification of finances. And so there were some things that were good there. Obviously, the cost structure had programming costs, website development, patent costs, and that the streams would come from revenues from licenses and sales of the product. But again, and this is really good, and I'd like to encourage people who are asked to write a business plan to think about the business model instead. I can tell you with great confidence, in New York and San Francisco, in Bangalore, and in Mumbai, there are people who will fund your ideas based on how good this is than reading a 40-page business plan. Because again, a business plan is for businesses that know what they're doing. And if you know what you're doing something that already someone else has done. If you're doing something really novel, really creative and new in the world, you by definition don't know what you're doing. And I know that's hard to accept sometimes. We like to think of ourselves as being competent and informed, but the reality of this new world that we've created by all these activities that is the heart and blood of entrepreneurship is the fact that we're all feeling our way through these ideas and really developing an understanding. But the question then becomes, if you're easily seduced by your own ideas, how do you know it has real value? And this center box is where all of this comes together. And I've shown numerous applications in this format of the business model canvas. And when this value proposition is spot on, people buy into it very quickly. Your financiers, your programmers, people involved in your project will all have a good sense. And why do we use Post-its? Post-its are by definition easy to put on and take off. And the idea is that this is a living document. Thank you. This is a living document, and we are going to evolve it very quickly as we go through this process. So I'd like to go to the next slide. And here's that business model canvas. Again, the value proposition, key partners, customer segments, costs and revenues. And the reality is, and Osterwalder and Steve Blank and others in this field of entrepreneurship realized that people had a really hard time understanding what really is of value to these people who are your customers. And so this little diagram looks pretty dumb and simple, right? It's a square and a circle, but look at how it's broken down. This on the left is the value map. And on the right, the circle is the customer profile. And each one of them are broken into different things. For you to sell anything in the world, you got to do one of two things. You either have to create a gain or relieve a pain. And if you don't do that, and unfortunately, this is the bane of a lot of engineers' existence, is you're simply creating something out of the joy of creating something. It's not really benefiting anyone. It's a bauble. It's something that sits on a shelf. And it's great, but if you want to make money, you want to turn your passion into profit, as Divya said, you need to do one of these two things. So how do you know whether or not you're doing that with this great new product that you imagine? You go to your customers and you ask them, hey, is this something you would gain from? Or is this something that really bothers you? And when you think of all the conversations you've had in your life, how much do people gripe about things? Guess what? That's a treasure trove. That's where you figure out where people are really pissed off at their companies that provide no service because their telemarketing systems or their help desk is just an endless cycle and they never really get any help. That's a pain. You can solve that by creating a better decision tree through your coding activity for that company. Boom, you now have a market. And you know it is because you know that's a pain. You've heard it before. Similarly, people like Elon Musk have realized that there's some real gains in the world. And if you can talk about being a multi-planetary species, if you can talk about saving the planet from petrochemicals, and the whole world is petrochemical addicted, and everyone you know who complains about the price of petrol are caught in the same problem. And Elon Musk said, screw that. I'm going to build a car market that's based on electricity, and we're going to power it by the sun. And we're going to create gains through doing that. And he has unbelievably succeeded in creating a market out of seemingly nowhere. And by the way, all the big car companies, everyone from BMW to Volkswagen, guess what? They're following Elon Musk. And he made his technology open source for electric vehicles because he really wanted to change it. Countries like China are following Elon Musk's lead in droves. The last two parts that I'll mention, move this slide back. For some reason, it's cut off here. Thank you. Customer jobs and products and services. So again, you have this color coding. Next slide, please. I'm sorry, I'm running a little over. I'll speed up here. So this color-coded confidence also works in this as well. So certainty, knowledge, doubt, and risk. So let's look at the next slide. I won't go through the details of this, but here's a travel agency, and they know that gains, you need to be efficient. There used to be a time when we didn't have internet booking of air travel, and it got vastly efficient when you could survey all the airlines on all the routes between any 2 points and figure out which one was best. And similarly, that system was not only efficient, but it also relieved pains because it was real time consuming to go to your local travel agent and find out. You could see the product, you could see the process happen very quickly. When you find your idea is not only relieving gain, I'm sorry, creating gain, but relieving pain, then you know you really have a good idea. And so this has many things. So that's it for the presentation on the value proposition. So next slide, please. So this, like the other, are two sides of the same coin. This is the business model canvas. You work it, you print it out large, and I'm going to share this slideshow with Sudeep to distribute to anyone who wants it. There's a copy of this. Take it to your local copy shop, print it out at A2 or A1 size. So it's big, it's on your wall, in your room, on your table, and get out Post-its and start writing things up and start asking people. And once you have this partially filled out, and you can start to fill in through the value proposition canvas what your true value to your customers are, get out of the house, get out of the office, get out of school, and start asking people, would you buy this? And that's where the rubber meets the road. And you'll find out that, yes, you really are satisfying people's needs in a more significant way. And then you can come back and refine this. I've developed business model canvases that have gone through 6, 7, 8, 10 generations of iteration. You take a snapshot, you preserve the old version in case you ever want to go back to it, and you keep pushing it. And this is the kind of thing that gets buy-in from investors these days. So that's all I have. Thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity to speak to everyone. Good luck.
Thank you so much, Scott. That was a very resourceful session, and indeed for me also it was very informative because of the concept of the value proposition canvas. How do you involve the VPC in the model of business canvas model?
Mm-hmm. Thanks.
Okay, dear participants, coming to the last part of the session, that is the question and answers. I have some questions for our panelists. So I'll be asking a question each to our panelists, and after that we'll have the floor open, and you can ask your questions to the panelists. Okay. My first question goes to Divya. Hi, Divya.
Yeah. Hi.
Yeah. So you spoke about a positive mindset. So I would want to ask this question. I guess our participants as a students also would have this question. What do you suggest to our participants for having a positive mindset?
Right. All right. So amazing question, Sudeep. So for this, I would like to speak something about what we feed to our mind. Let's say we are, when it comes to positive mindset, so it is just like you have a, let's think of it like you're watching a horror movie, and then you talk to somebody about seances and calling spirits down on earth. And then you have a show where maybe in your journal, you're writing something about ghosts, and then you go to sleep. What dreams do you expect to occur in your mind? Would this be about anything else than ghosts? This would be about ghosts, right? Horror movies and everything that you just fed to your mind. So when it comes to positivity or negativity, there is nothing like that in mind. It just repeats what you're feeding to it. So when it comes to how can you develop a positive mindset, stop feeding negative things to it. So be around children because they're really positive. Look, watch shows that are positive in nature. Do things, talk about yourself, change your self-talk. If you're constantly telling yourself that I'm a loser, I'm not good at anything, I'm not going to be successful, all of this is going to create negativity and nothing else. So you can only create a positive mindset if that is what you're feeding to yourself all day long, because that's a process and not just a result. So that's my answer. I hope I made it clear.
Yes, Devya, thank you so much for your response. My next question goes to Abhay.
Yes,
Hi,
Abhay.
Abhay. What do you suggest for our students to be self-motivated?
Okay, I think again a very good question, and most of us, we feel motivation lasts forever, right? It doesn't work that way. It's like having a bath. You need to take a bath every day, right? You can't say
Completely
that,
agree.
today I took a bath, so forever I can't. That's not how it's going to work. So every single day, it's a very simple concept. How am I self-motivated even while doing the worst of things, when I'm not in the mood, when I don't just want to do anything? I just realized one thing. See, people would believe in you if you start believing in yourself. First half of my life, I never believed in myself, and then nobody else around believed in me. But the moment I started believing in myself that I can do it, and then I started taking those baby steps, simple things. Say, for example, if I need to do a homework, I need to write 10 pages. That's a big thing, right? I don't know where to start. But if I start by one answer at a time, the first step would be the baby step, which would be the most difficult. And the moment you take it, you then slowly get into the field. And then when you look back, 9 pages are already done. So how do I stay motivated even in diverse situation? I just take baby steps. I don't think of how I'll do everything. I just think of how I'll do the next immediate step. That's it. If I'm able to achieve it, automatically the motivation comes back because now you're getting closer to the goal. So I hope that answers the question, Sudeep.
Yes, Abhay, thank you so much. It was very knowledgeful. Yeah, and yes, taking small steps are important. Thank you. My last question is to Scott. Hi, Scott.
Hi.
Again, thinking with the perspective of students, how does developing a business canvas model will help the students to reach out to potential investors for their academic final year projects?
Good. The business model canvas brings into focus all the basic concerns that people who are investing. It also is sort of like a roadmap. And so you talk about the academic process. I tended to be very focused in my thinking. And so I would like to think about the design, or I'd like to think about one other thing. And one of the qualities a lot of entrepreneurs share is you really can't be that narrow. It really is one of those professions where you need to wear a lot of hats. And so the business model canvas, I find, helps me be a better manager of the information around my idea so that I can frame it best for people. And I think that helps both at the academic level and at the commercial level.
Thank you, Scott. Now we have the floor open for our participants. Please unmute yourself and you can ask your questions. If anybody wants to put a question in the chat, you can put the question in the chat. Also, the users who are there on YouTube, please put your question in the chat and we will ask the question to our panelists. Okay, we have a first question. A small request to participants: when you ask the question, please name the speaker for whom the question is addressed. Okay, we have a question from Bradley Rodriguez. For business model canvas, wouldn't a known certain cost structure, website cost, patent cost, data interface be better for a startup to avoid financial problems early on? This question is to Scott.
Yes, this is pretty high level. And whether or not you're doing a business model canvas or you're doing a business plan, you have to make some assumptions. There are a lot of answers you can get. I can price an entire building by going to a few sources and using average costs. And it's not the best price for the building I'll get as an architect design, but it gives my clients and me a sense that we're in the right ballpark for this. And so the reason for having the costs and revenue at the bottom, Osterwalder realized it completes the whole picture. You need to have something in those boxes in terms of but where you get the information and how you update it. And so I did an early project where I put in estimated costs. And then as the project went on and I got in bids, I simply replaced those estimated costs for the steel, for the concrete, for the et cetera, for the whole building with the actual costs. And then I had two cost estimate. And so understand at each level, there's schematic design, there's design development, there's construction documents, and then there's as-builts. So in the architectural process, you go through these gradations of levels of accuracy. And that's part of the process as well. Hope that answered it.
And also adding to what Scott has just mentioned. So when you are into a startup, when you are building a startup, so the money is the least of your worries. I mean, having a proper idea, using technology, having the right team with the right mindset are more important factors that will determine if your startup will be successful or not. Money will come at the end when you are
absolutely. And I'll give everyone a heads up. Investors who hear from entrepreneurs say, if I only had the money, I could do this. They write them off. You won't get the time of day after that point, because they know the entrepreneur who is focused on money first is never going to complete. It's not a safe investment.
Okay, we have the next question from Olson. I believe that this question, Abhay, you can address this question. I'll quickly read the question. In case we have a business idea that is time sensitive, but also have plans to study further, which would be wiser decision? Follow your idea or get a good qualification?
Okay, so yes, again, that's a very positive question, because at least a sense of an idea is there in your mind, right? That you have something to work for. If you are in the assumption that, if you get a qualification that would solve all your problems, trust me, no qualification in this world is good enough to guarantee success for you. So what would I recommend? It's a very subjective case. If you and your family are in a comfortable position wherein the monetary wise, they aren't dependent on you, you don't have to earn money right away, and you're okay in exploring, experimenting, and ready to fail, then deep dive right into your idea, get it to a point and learn on the go. There will be never a time wherein if you get a degree, next day you know what's business. That doesn't happen, right? Scott will give you a better idea about it. On the go, when you fail, and when you fail, that's when you actually learn and you become successful. So any day on the go is a better option, provided you and your family have that comfort that they aren't financially dependent on you. If they are, then complete your education, get a job. While doing the job, explore your idea, and say if your job pays you, say 30,000 rupees or say $2,000, then till the moment your business doesn't give you equivalent money, continue doing the job because your family is dependent on you. And the day you get the same revenue, leave the job and go full-time into business. So I hope that answers the question. Let me know in the chat box if it's a yes. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Abhay. Also adding on to Abhay's answer. So usually the journey of a student starts with respect to generating an idea. So it starts from an idea generation, and then you can do some kind of a research just to know how novel the idea is. You can do a patent search, or you can go to existing publishers and do a research of your own. You can see if the idea is novel or not. If you're finding it novel, so you can, as mentioned earlier, you can come to the Innovation Council. look for filing a provisional patent. You get time frame between 1 to 1.5 years to complete your final patent, and that's also the exact time frame where you will be able to reach to a certain stage in your life where you will pass out, and yes, you'll have an idea which you are working on. Okay, and also if somebody feels that okay, we have a good prototype built, but we cannot take it ahead, but it's a good product that serves the society very well, and we at the Innovation Council, we can get you in touch with investors or with an entrepreneur who's ready to buy out the technology through transfer of technology programs. We can get you in touch with various incubators, co-working spaces across the state of Goa, and all that can be facilitated using the Innovation Council. Okay. Okay, we have one more question. I think Divya, you can answer that question. This question is from Vansraj Sharma. If we are on the way to achieve our goal and on the way we get a good idea or project that will show success, which one will it be correct path to go?
All right. So, yeah, Vansraj, when you're thinking of your goal, everything that comes in between is also maybe in alignment with your goal. Like Abhay shared that he put a picture of his goal on his laptop screen. So maybe he was getting ideas in his mind to also apply for ISTD trainers, or maybe, do some training. All of the ideas were coming in respect to the goal that he was feeding in his mind. So anything that's coming to your mind is aligned with your goals. So definitely go with what you think is a perfect idea or a project that will surely give you success. It's a sign that you are on your path to achievement. So take it as a yes and go with it for sure. Binay, all right.
Yes, Binay, duly noted that it's Binay, not Vansraj. We can take one more question, one last question. Professor Suraj Manate, sir, do you have any questions for our panelists? Maybe you can be the last. You can have the last question.
Yeah, nicely actually elaborated all the things to our young engineers. Okay, so most of the participants are right now they are passing out. They are most are in final year, and I think you're all everybody has presented like a motivational for them. So I think everything is clear. Still, but still, I may ask about they are doing now final, especially to Abhay. Can you means have some idea about that final year project they are doing most of the time? And after they are completing after 8th semester and they get pass out, they're not carrying their ideas. So anything on that you can tell something on that?
Yes. Surely I will. Everything that you start off with, you need to first start off with the question why. The purpose. Why are you doing it? If most of the final year students are doing a project because they want a degree, then that's the extent of it, right? You get your degree, your goal is achieved, you won't take that idea ahead. But if your why is very strong, if your purpose is clear, that boss, I'm not doing this to get a degree, I will in that way. It's like a byproduct. But my end goal is to do these things. If the why is clear, then trust me, even after engineering, I've seen people who follow that final year project into a proper company. They incorporate as a private limited or whatever it is, they get a patent, and then they have their careers based on it. So my simple suggestions to everyone who are in the final year or pre-final year, and if you're about to enter into the world of a final year project, choose something that is closer to your heart, which solves your purpose. Because we say this, there's a very famous line, and if you can, everyone, students, you can write this down. The bigger the why, the easier the how. I'll repeat it one more time. The bigger the why, the easier the how. The bigger the purpose, how will you do it is not a problem. It's like this. Let me give you a quick example and then I'll be done. Let's say if you need 10,000 rupees for a trip to say Manali or for a trip to say Ladakh. And for a second case, you need 10,000 rupees because your brother is in the hospital. Now tell me one thing, which out of the two cases will you do whatever it takes to accumulate 10,000 rupees? Is it number one, Manali, or is it number two, brother? What do you think? If it's number two, brother, type brother in the chat box. If it's Manali, type Manali in the chat box. Let me see how it is. It's brother, right? Everybody out there is typing brother. The purpose is so clear in your head that you're not going to be worried, how will I get 10,000? You will do whatever it is, but you will save your brother. So for all final year students, get the purpose clear. The purpose of a final year project is not to get a degree or good marks. It is to add value and solve a problem. If your project solves a problem, trust me, you will carry it forward ahead as well. And eventually your life will be based on it if you have the willingness to follow. So the answer is simply follow the purpose. That's it.
Okay.
So I think Mr. Suraj, that answers the
Yes,
question.
yes, absolutely right what you have said. Yes, yes.
That's it. Thank you, Abhay.
Thank you.
So now Marathi sir, we can conclude with the
Yes,
session.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Now I just call Benicia Culasso to just propose a vote of thanks. Yeah, Benicia.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Yes.
A very good evening to each and everyone once again. I take this opportunity to extend my hearty vote of thanks on behalf of the whole college and the organizing team of IIC DBCE. First and foremost, I would like to extend my gratitude to all the panelists, Mr. Scott B. Knox, for telling us about the business model canvas and the value proposition canvas. I thank Ms. Divya Kakkar for telling us about Ikigai and motivating us to find our own, and Mr. Abhay Valsankar for the valuable insight on the three ingredients of success: mindset, skill set, and tool set, which he shared with us today. We learned about importance of learning, which we are grateful to all of you for. I can say with complete assurance on behalf of all the attendees that this discussion was a fruitful one, and now we can only look ahead and use the knowledge we have gained today. Through this discussion, many of us have been made aware of the opportunities that we have and how we can use those not only for our good, but for the development of the country as a whole. I thank Mr. Sudeep Paldesai for moderating today's discussion. He made sure of a smooth discussion and helped us touch important points of this vast topic in the little time that we had. I thank the director of Don Bosco College of Engineering, Reverend Father Kinley de Cruz, Principal Dr. Neena Parandikar, IIC President Dr. Varsha Turkar, and Faculty Coordinator Professor Suraj Marathe for helping us make this workshop a success. I thank the HOD of Mechanical Department, Professor Ajit Sarunke, and Mr. Tanmay Bhagat for the technical help. Last but not the least, I would like to thank all the attendees of today's panel discussion. I am sure all of you have gained some useful knowledge today. Thank you once again.
Thank you so much, Benicia. Everybody have a wonderful day ahead. Thank you so much for our panelists, Scott, Abhay, and Divya. You guys are amazing. You did an amazing job.
Thank you, Sudeep.
We know that we really understand that 10 minutes are very less, but they were amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you,
Thanks,
everybody.
Sudeep. Thank
Yeah.
you, everybody.
Yeah. Thank
Big
you.
thanks to Professor Suraj Marathe sir for
Yes.
help for facilitating and letting us interact with the students. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
All the credit goes to you. Without you, it was not possible
you,
for us
thank you.
to reach out to them. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, all the panelists.
Thank you so much.